We'd like to welcome everyone to our regular city council meeting tonight. We are grateful that we have Dave Higginson here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had a boy that was going to come in lieu of a prayer and offer a speech, a speech that he had written for a First Amendment contest. And unfortunately, I don't see him, so I hope him and his family are safe. But I will just offer a prayer. Our dear Father in heaven, we're thankful to be together here tonight for our city council meeting. We ask thee for direction for our city council. We're so thankful for each person and their time and work. We're so thankful for the staff here at Bountiful City, for each one, for the things that they do that benefit our lives and the lives of residents here. We pray for safety tonight. We pray for wisdom. And we say this in Jesus' name, amen. We will now move to our public comment period. If you'd like to make a comment, you have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address, and the time is now yours. Seeing no one here for public comment, we will move to consider approval of minutes of previous meetings held on December 6th and 12th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. And I assume we do not have a youth council report tonight.
Mayor, if you wouldn't mind returning to youth council.
Sure.
In a few minutes. I do believe someone is maybe coming.
Okay, we'll come back to that. We will now start with council reports, and we will start with Councilwoman Price-Hewish.
Nothing to report tonight, Mayor, except I'm excited to see Dave Irvine here, who will be reappointed to the Power Commission. And as I'm newly appointed representative on the Power Commission, I'm really looking forward to working with you and everyone there. And hopefully our BCYC member will be coming.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilman Bell.
I just want to say how wonderful it was to have the orchestra here earlier, and that was a nice touch. And I want to say thanks to my colleagues on the city council here and the work and the sacrifices they make to serve to their best of their ability and make good judgments and decisions. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bradshaw.
I have a couple announcements. The first is that one of our residents emailed me and wanted to make sure that we made a note that today was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and asked if I would be sure to mention it. So I'm being sure to mention it, and I know we are all very appreciative of the great work that the Bountiful Police Department does, our dispatch, South Davis Metro Fire. We're just very appreciative of our entire public safety team and the ways they help keep us safe and foster a community that feels like this is a great place to call home. So that was the first. The second is related to the rec district. I have to start off by apologizing to Greg for not recognizing he was there to present on an IT issue for the rec district, and he sat through a very long meeting before I realized that we needed to probably elevate, so sorry, thank you. And my report for the rec district is, as most of you are aware, we've been working through an issue with ice skating, and we have, last night we adopted new rules and regulations for how the figure skating community will interact in terms of coaches and people who want to do private lessons. We've adopted a framework that will now treat all of those coaches as private contractors under a licensing type scheme, and that will allow us to better facilitate the interactions, so that if somebody is following the policies and procedures, they can go ahead and have their athletes and students there training. But if there ends up being issues that are brought where they're not following the policies or procedures, they're not engaging in safe coaching techniques, or if there's any allegations, then we can kind of essentially pull their license to operate as a private contractor at the facility. We are not quite yet ready to fully welcome back figure skating. Those are the broad brushstrokes of the policy framework that were adopted. The subcommittee, which I am thankfully not serving on, that is tasked with finalizing all of those details for figure skating, now has to come back with those more granular rules that will finish out that process so that we can fully welcome back figure skating in the February meeting.
So you expect that to be like the end of February when it is?
I believe the Recreation District Board meeting is February 11th, and so that's the targeted, and I will tell you as soon as I get the calendar to fully open. I think
You expect that to be when they can?
that is when we expect to then adopt those granular rules that will fully flesh out that new scheme. So just like we were talking about with our master plan, we adopted those broad brushstrokes that the subcommittee had presented and put together, but we still have some of those kind of more granular rules of conduct. And then as part of this kind of this licensing kind of framework and scheme was the best kind of example we could compare it to. Those coaches will have to, they'll have to have a background check. They'll have to have certification from their sports body, so U.S. figure skating in this case. They'll have to have liability insurance and be willing to provide a certificate of that insurance to the Recreation District. So those people can kind of start processing those components while these rules about what those codes of conduct and what a complaint process and things like that will be put in place before the next meeting. I know it has been a challenge and a hardship for our figure skating community. I'm sure some of you have received calls and emails from figure skaters that are disappointed right now to not be fully practicing on the ice, and so felt a progress report that it is being actively moved and pursued by the board would be a helpful update.
Thank you. Yes. Councilman Higginson.
Mayor, I don't have a report pursuant to any of my assignments on the council, but I do want to make a report. As I was preparing to leave home to come to this meeting, I got a text from a colleague saying that he was at dinner at Thai in Town. Wondered if I could give him a ride to council meeting tonight. That was Jesse Bell. So told him, of course, I'd be happy to pick him up, and I pulled up in front of Thai in Town and texted him as I rolled to a stop and said I was there. And all of a sudden I saw someone dart out of the front of Thai in Town and sprint across the parking lot to one car, and then sprinted to a different car and then ran over and got into my car. So that's my report, is that Jesse Bell was running all over town tonight. And you can infer from that anything you like, but anyway.
Wow.
That was worthy of an update.
Well,
I haven't
thanks.
seen Jesse run in a while.
Well, thanks for that update. And I'm
Absolutely.
glad that he was supporting a local Bountiful business.
Oh, we love Thai in Town.
And we're glad that he was willing to leave his wife's birthday dinner to come to council meeting tonight.
It's a pleasure to be here.
He was supporting his wife at her birthday dinner and then supporting us here tonight as well. So thanks for supporting a Bountiful business. Thanks for that report.
Absolutely.
Councilman Murray.
Nothing to report tonight.
Excellent. Okay, it's now time for us to consider approval of the expenditures greater than $1,000 paid December 6th, 13th, 20th, 27th, 2023, and the November 2023 financial report.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Thank you so much. Now I'm excited that we are to the point in our meeting where we can consider the approval of the reappointment of Mr. Dave Irvine to the Bountiful City Power Commission for a 4-year term. And we know you do a great job there for us. You're very knowledgeable, and we appreciate the veteran status that you bring and the insight. And so I'll turn the time over to Mr. Gary Hill.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mr. Dave Irvine has been really an instrumental part of our Power Commission for a number of years. He does bring a wealth of experience and has helped craft over the years some of the more important information that we've shared with the public. Most recently, a primer on solar power that was really helpful when we changed our solar rates, and to explain to the public why we didn't feel like it was in the best interest to subsidize, for one resident to subsidize another solar use. So it's staff's recommendation that Dave be reappointed to the Power Commission.
Excellent. Is there is this a motion that we're making?
Yeah, it's an appointment by the mayor with the advice and consent of the city council. So
Okay.
tonight what we're looking for is a motion, yes, to support the mayor's appointment.
Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion that we ratify the appointment of Mr. Dave Irvine to the Power Commission for as long as he's willing to serve, but this time for just 4 years more.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you so much for your service.
Could I just say one quick thing?
Well, yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Really fast. After listening to Councilwoman Bradshaw's report on the state of figure skating in Bountiful, I am so grateful to be a part of the Bountiful Power Commission and not the Bountiful Figure Skating Commission. Thank you very much.
Can I trade you?
Thank you.
It's
Thank you
too bad.
very
We were
much.
going to ask you to write a figure skating primer, Dave, so it's good to know you're not interested.
Write one that would just blow your socks off.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, he's an eloquent writer. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we really appreciate your service. We will now consider approval of ordinance 2024-01, amending the zoning map for 4 parcels on 100 West between Center Street and 100 North. Ms. Amber Corbridge.
Mayor, I was just curious. We have some new guests that arrived.
Yes.
I wondered if perhaps this was,
Luca Bailey, hi. We're really glad to have you. Is it a good time to ask you to give your speeches now, or do you want a few minutes? If that would be okay. Yep, we'll give you a few minutes, and we'll come right back to you. Thank you. Glad you're here. Luca was the one who, in lieu of a prayer, was going to give his speeches tonight, so we're really glad you made it safely. We'll come back to you in a few minutes. Thanks. Okay, so we'll move back to our item number 8 to consider ordinance 2024-01. And if you don't mind giving us the groundwork, Amber, and then we'll turn it in, we'll have a public hearing.
Okay. All right, so before you tonight is a rezone request at approximately 92 West Center Street. There are 3 adjacent properties to this one that are part of the rezone request. There are 2 different zones currently in this area. We have both the R4 single-family residential and professional office, and they're both proposed to be changed to downtown mixed-use zone, as shown in the zoning map in the packet. During the December 19th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting, the commission reviewed the proposed zone map amendment, held a public hearing, and forwarded a positive recommendation with a 7-0 vote. In the analysis that was discussed in the meeting, we looked at the history of these properties. It used to be zoned commercial, and then at some point in the 90s, 1993 zoning map shows some of the area was rezoned to be residential. So now what you will need to consider is if the proposed zone map amendment is necessary, if the amendment is in the interest of the public, and if the amendment is in harmony with the objectives and purposes of the Bountiful General Plan and Land Use Code. So our land use map from 2009 does show this area proposed to be part of the downtown area. And there's a downtown boundary map in the packet that shows that these properties are part of that downtown historic boundary. So there is support in the general plan for this area to be rezoned to downtown. We also did an inventory of the neighborhood where we found that there are a mix of uses in the neighborhood, and those uses are listed in the table on page 43. And so there's a lot of support for downtown mixed-use zoning, as well as the property on corner of 100 North and 100 West has 2 zones right now, and so it would be consistent for this property to just have the one zone, which is downtown. The Planning Commission recommended to City Council to review this proposed zoning map amendment, hold a public hearing, and approve the proposed rezone for 4 parcels east of 100 West between Center Street and 100 North.
Thank you for that explanation. Council, do you have any questions before we move to a public hearing?
No.
Okay, we will now hold a public hearing in consideration of ordinance 2024-01. Please feel free to come to the microphone and if you have anything to say in this public hearing. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Council, do you have any questions or comments on this?
Mayor, I've got a couple of things I'd like to say if I could. First of all, I'd like to say that the applicant is my son Dave, who led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And so because of that, I have an interest in this property, one of the 4 properties. But I have some background as well that I'd like to share that I think would be pertinent to the discussion tonight. Back in the day, there was a family named Newbold, Russ Carey Newbold, that owned the home where Hearthstone is now on 100 North and 2nd West. And they had worked for years living in the home with his sister living in the basement apartment there, and got it to the point where they were ready to be done with that project. And they thought that in order for the home to be preserved properly, someone should probably put it to some commercial use that had pockets deep enough to finish the project and finish restoring the home as it deserved to be restored. And so they applied to rezone the property to commercial, and there was an uprising in the neighborhood. People were concerned about that, and I think the compromise was that it was eventually zoned to this professional office use. As many of you know, the Crouches eventually purchased what was called at the time the Day Maybe home just to the east of that the city owned. And the city, of course, had already rezoned that property to the downtown zone when the downtown zone came about. So consequently, the Crouches combined their 2 parcels, leaving one of the parts of that single parcel in professional office zone and one part of that parcel in downtown zone. The house just south of that is owned by a couple in Florida who have a brother who lives in the home. He was not involved in the process and was excluded just because the other 2 properties to the south of him were excluded. The Bernard family, who owned the home on the corner at 92 West Center, was interested in keeping the home single family because they thought that was their best chance to have the home protected. And now, as it turns out, having the home protected may rely on the same kind of a strategy that the Newbolds used back when they preserved that house on 100 North and 2nd West, and that is to, again, expand the possibilities of use for the home and rezone it to downtown so that maybe there can be a basement office or a basement rental of some sort that will help to fund the preservation of the home. That's all I know about the history of those properties. And that's also my what do I call it, explanation that I do have an interest in this item.
Thank you. That's
Thank
good.
you.
Good information. Any other questions on this for Councilman Higginson or for Amber? I'll entertain a motion if you're ready.
I'll motion to approve the ordinance change on this property. Should I be reading the address of the property? How official do I need to be in my motion?
Approval of ordinance 2024.
Okay, I'll make a motion on ordinance 2024-01 on amending the zoning map for parcel found on 100 West between Center Street and 100 North.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes, and it's fitting that you made the motion for our first motion of the year,
I
our
just
first
had to be-
resolution.
Councilman Higginson, he's pretty fast on the motions.
Yes. Well done. Well done.
I did want to make a comment on that, but you were so fast. So I've long seen this area that looks unique and surprisingly out of place when I've looked at the zoning map. And I've seen it for quite some time, and thanks for the history on that, Councilman Higginson, because that does give a little context to why it was what it was. But to me, after reading the staff report and looking at the zoning map, it seems to me that this would be fitting and make sense moving forward.
Excellent. Yes, thank you. Okay, great. Luca, you ready? Okay, I'm going to help you set up. Luca has 2 speeches tonight. He has one in Spanish, and so we have the English translation. Which one do you want to do first, Luca? Okay, he's going to give the Spanish one first, and so we're going to be able to read along in English here, and then he has, and so this is his speech that he gave for the Martin Luther King Jr. speech contest, and then he also entered a speech in the contest for the First Amendment speech contest, and he won 2nd place, right? And so we're very excited, Luca. Thank you for being here tonight, and you can take it away. It's all you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Luca Bailey, and I'm in 4th grade, and I go to Mere Elementary. And today, I'm gonna go say 2 speeches. One of them is by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is called "Where Do We Go From Here?" and the other one is called "Freedom of Religion" from the First Amendment. And I'm gonna say this speech in Spanish. Estoy preocupado por un mundo mejor. Estoy preocupado por la justicia. Estoy preocupado por la hermandad. Me preocupa la verdad. Y cuando a alguien le preocupa eso, nunca puede abogar por la violencia. Porque mediante la violencia se puede asesinar a un asesino. Pero no se puede asesinar a un asesino. Mediante la violencia se puede asesinar a un mentiroso, pero no puedes establecer la verdad. Mediante la violencia se puede asesinar a alguien que odia, pero no puedes asesinar el odio mediante la violencia. La oscuridad no puede apagar la oscuridad. Solo la luz puede hacer eso. Y les digo que también que he decidido continuar con el amor. Porque sé que el amor, en última instancia, es la única respuesta de los problemas de la humanidad. Y voy a hablar de ello donde quiera que vaya. Sé que hoy en día no es popular hablar de ello en algunos grupos. Y no me refiero a tonterías emocionales cuando hablo de amor. Estoy hablando de un amor fuerte y exigente. Porque he visto demasiado odio. And now I'm going to say the second speech, freedom of religion. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. What does this mean? That we have freedom of religion. I will always, always be grateful for those who thought and were inspired of these freedoms. Freedom of religion is an important human right. It is something that we all need because we all have different religions. We all think different and... may I please have a moment? remember the second part of the speech. I'm too nervous, okay? I'm sorry. I'll say it.
Luca, thank you. Luca, I have to say that first part of your speech that you did remember was amazing. And we are so impressed. Not only could you give a speech in Spanish, but also in English. And what you did speak about tonight was really great. So please know that we're impressed. Well done. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. We understand if you need to go. So thank you for coming tonight. Okay, let's hear it.
If I know it, will I do it again?
Yeah, you can, sure. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Be safe. Okay, we will now consider approval of the renewal of the Tyler Technology Software Maintenance Contract. Mr. Greg Martin.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I feel like I need speech lessons. I wish he was still here. I will start by saying, well, tonight I didn't have to wait as long. I'm considering bribery for Councilwoman Bradshaw. Any meeting that I'm attending that I give her chocolates or something to get a little higher on the list.
Food will get you where you need to go.
As you know, we do use Tyler Munis software for our city financials. Typically with a software package, we subscribe to annual maintenance renewal. This covers both software updates as well as tech support when needed. That's what this package is this evening that we are requesting to purchase. It is our annual renewal with Tyler Munis. We have eliminated some modules that were not in use, and one module was changed to a read-only package since it's not going to be having any data added as the planning department has moved to a different software package going forward. So that reduced our overall cost. It is the recommendation of city staff that we request that you approve the purchase of the software maintenance agreement in the amount of $82,617 through Tyler. Be happy to answer any questions.
I do have a question, Mayor.
Please.
I just wanted to beat my colleagues on the other side to motion. But I do have a question. And I just did want to note that the Centerville staff did show up with snacks at the rec district meeting last night.
Wow.
Some of these costs are tied a little bit over to the rec district, and we talked about some changes that they're making. And I know we give a discount on all of the services we help provide to the recreation district as a city. Are any of these savings in that business and vendor category, cost savings we're gaining by having the rec district make shifts on their IT package that we're providing them?
No. We are still going to be providing all financial services to the rec district, so these packages are going to be the same price as they have been in the past. The modules that we've reduced were not previously in use, and so we've dropped them off, and then the business, what do you call it? The module for business licenses, I think.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
use City
business
Inspect.
license module is the one that we're reducing to read-only, so neither of those packages were due to anything changes with the rec center.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I'll entertain a motion.
I can't. I'll make a motion to approve the expenditures for Tyler Technology to renew the service agreements we have with them.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Price Hewish, and all in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Thank you so much. Now we'll turn the time over to Mr. Brock Hill to consider approval of contracts with Randall Brothers Redline Roofing and Residential Glassworks for the Bountiful Ridge Pro Shop remodel.
Where's Luca? I'm really nervous too. Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. I appreciate your time tonight. I bring before you the remodel at the golf course on the Pro Shop side of the building. If you'll recall, 2 years ago, we remodeled the cafe side and spent quite a good time there. If you've been up there, you can understand the breadth of what that means and how far we had to go to bring that building up to some modern day decor and functionality in the kitchen. So we are doing that on the Pro Shop side with this remodel. We plan on taking all of the finishes out down to bare wood and down to the floor. The carpet will come off, the wall finishings will come off. Planning on updating the lighting fixtures. Some of the heating will be impacted by this, primarily grills and some ductwork, some items like that. We're also planning on doing a total replacement of the roof. A couple years ago, if you'll recall, we did some work on there and did a bunch of patching on the roof. That only bought us some more time, but now we're to the point where it's going to require a full replacement. So that's part of this tonight, a separate contract. And also, we're replacing the windows that are way out of date. They're only 1/4-inch plate glass and very inefficient. So that's going to be part of this project as well. We reached out to 4 different contractors, some that we've worked with in the past, others that come highly recommended. You can see there in the staff report who was invited to bid. Hanson Homes, which is a local company. Launch Construction, who was Red Construction, who did the cafe side of the shop. Also Alco Construction, who came highly recommended from North Salt Lake City. They currently did a remodel on Eaglewood Clubhouse, and then Randall Brothers Construction. When we went out and looked at companies for the roofing, I contacted 3 different companies. 2 were non-responsive. One is the company that we're using to replace the roof on the maintenance shed. He was the one that gave us a quote on our building up here. You can see there in the staff report that's coming in at $43,720. And then the window replacement company is Residential Glass. We reached out to 4 other companies for the residential glass. We had no response from one. One responded that he wasn't interested. The other one that we reached out to is no longer in business. That was the company that did the window replacement on the cafe side. And then Residential Glassworks, who came highly recommended. Their bid came in at $36,371. Randall Brothers Construction was the low bid on the project at $124,500. So the total cost of the project between the remodel, the windows, and the roof replacement comes to a total of $208,453.19, which is under budget. We have $300,000 budgeted in our capital improvement budget. So staff is recommending that council, staff recommends that City Council approve the following contracts for the remodel of the Bountiful Ridge Golf Course Pro Shop side. Randall Brothers Construction in the amount of $124,500. Redline Roofing for the replacement of the roof at $43,720. And Residential Glassworks in the amount of $36,371. And I will answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Brock. So it's kind of been renovations in phases, and do you expect that this will pretty much complete renovations, or do you think that there are still things that in upcoming years will, soon will need attention?
No, we don't plan on any other major renovations. We feel like this is a complete renovation of the building as it's currently being used. So the pro shop side, the center entrance area, the bathrooms, the downstairs, that happened long ago in 2012, but it's holding up well. And the maintenance there has been staving off any necessary major needs. And then the cafe side just 2 years ago. So we feel like this will complete the renovations on the interior of the building, including the roof. We feel comfortable that the building is good for another few years. It was built in 1975, so it's obviously showing its age. But we're doing our best to keep it viable and operational.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I would be happy to make a motion that we approve the contracts as outlined in the staff report for the remodel of the Bountiful Ridge Golf Course Pro Shop.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, Brock.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll turn the time over to Lloyd Cheney to help give us some background on the our consideration of authorization of the additional expenditure.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. Over the last 5 years, the street department has budgeted and the engineering department has implemented plans to conduct some small reconstruction projects in Plat A. We've been served very well on those projects by using a model which utilizes the existing asphalt and base material in the roadways. Just by processing it, moving it off to the side, doing some excavation, and then utilizing those materials as the structure of the new road. That was our plan for this most recent project. However, it pains me to come to you to ask for authorization of some additional money, where in this case, the soil conditions didn't really allow us to use that model. As the contractor conducted the excavation work against the existing curb and gutter and sidewalk, those things would start to settle down just because it's really fine-grained clay materials left over from Lake Bonneville and also what I suspect are remnant flooding events from the creeks in town. You know, as those creeks move around and you have different flooding events, they deposit sometimes less desirable materials. And that was kind of the case in this project, whereas the more we dug, it seemed like the worse it got. We felt very fortunate that Miller Paving was able to provide some material that was a little bit cheaper to construct the street, but it did result in some excess costs, to the tune of $179,000. When you start taking out curb and gutter, you incur costs to take them out, but you also incur costs to replace them. And that's the same with the excavation side of things. Now that it's kind of all said and done, though, I think we're very pleased with the overall product. And, this extended quite late into the construction season by the time we got it paved. So we were anxious to get this project wrapped up and not have our residents endure 9 months instead of 8 months of construction. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I hope that my explanations of why we had to incur those expenses is useful to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Mayor, if I may. Lloyd, I'm just curious. This is an area that is pointed out in the staff report that it is the oldest part of town, and it is in this flat area that might be in a floodplain, part of Lake Bonneville. There's some issues, but it's also an area that we have done a lot of road repairs in the past. I'm just wondering, and clearly unanticipated, I'm going forward, are we going to be changing, or do we feel like the process for soils testing is sufficient to kind of anticipate this kind of outcome in the future?
We certainly can do some additional testing before we get started on these projects to see what we have for asphalt thickness and base material thicknesses, so we know what's there, but also below that. Typically, when we do a project like this, the irrigation company comes in first and replaces their line very early in the year, and then we try to replace the water line at the same time so that we don't have the possibility of utility break or whatever, we have brand-new utilities in that road and try and minimize the risk of having to disturb our good work. I would like to point out one thing. I think it's fortunate that in the street department's budget that we originally budgeted $840,000 for this project. Now, whether that was by plan or by luck, I couldn't give you that answer for sure. But we do have plenty of money in the budget to cover the additional expense. We have typically what I call have a staggered construction where we have a project that overlaps 2 budget years. And so we're able to accommodate changes in budgeting a year ahead as we do these things. I think we're fortunate in this case to have a significant amount of money in the street department budget to cover that, and I believe to cover what construction we'll be doing in the spring on the next project. I think we're in fine shape for that.
I just have one quick question, and just to clarify. So before all the good work goes in, all the utility lines and all that have been replaced in the stretches of road?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for Lloyd? Ready for a motion?
Happy to make a motion that we approve the additional expenditure for the reconstruction of 300 and 400 as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Lloyd. And the next item's for you as well.
Thank you. Many of you are familiar with the Creekside View subdivision off from Davis Boulevard above Valley View Elementary. Almost dropped a Holbrook Elementary there. That's been complete for a little while now, and it's time that the staff recommend to you that the council accept the improvements that were built as part of that subdivision. We were only able to find one issue that really needs to be addressed as a result of construction, and that's some damage to some curb and gutter and sidewalk on the Davis Boulevard side. We believe we have a plan in place to take care of that damage, that will restore it as construction is completed on that lot, which has frontage on Davis Boulevard. The developer, Dan Crane, has agreed to work with us and the owners of those 3 lots on the south side of the cul-de-sac to split the cost of that, since that's kind of their primary access into the site. All the other improvements meet city standards and have survived the 1-year warranty period, so staff would recommend that the council accept the improvements and release the bond money that's been held and relieve the developer of any further obligation.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. And before we adjourn, I wish I would have done it in the beginning, but I just wanted to welcome our new city attorney, Brad Jepson, that's here with us tonight. So we're really glad you're here. Thank you for being here tonight.
I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
Mayor,
Well-
does Brad know, and do we know if our random name selector for when we have to roll call vote was, I mean, that was property of the city, right? It wasn't something that was transferred to Layton.
Miranda, do you know? Oh, well, we couldn't see it. So Brad, I have faith that Brad's probably going to come up with something
Disappeared.
even cooler.
I mean, I would like a whole lotto machine, or even maybe a slot machine.
Yeah. He's thinking big over here, so.
Well, that's another reason to be upset with our neighbor to the north if that didn't stay. Okay, welcome.
Well, we're really glad you're here. Welcome. Thank you. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second. We are adjourned. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.